Okay. What up, fam? Splinter fam. How's it going?
Oh, hey. I guess.
No one is here yet. You know why? Because we haven't done a show in like 3 weeks. And so everyone's
Yeah.
like, Splinter Talk show's dead.
Yeah.
We don't care anymore. We're not playing Splinterlands.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's like, what, like
Is
18,000?
is this a dead channel?
It's probably a dead channel. Let's see. We'll see how many OG fans show up today. I mean, everyone's just watching Cryptmancer. That's why.
Ah, that makes sense.
Cryptomancer, I blame you. It's all your
Oh,
fault.
you got the old logo when I had an O in my name.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a new logo? I can still add it.
No, that's
We're
no
not like
problem.
officially starting the podcast yet. We're just warming up,
Mm-hmm.
stretching in.
Just hanging out.
Wait,
letting
Bitcoin's
everyone-
above 20K again? No way. It's pumping. What is it at?
Ooh.
20,300, guys. We're going to the moon. All right, guys. Real question here. Bitcoin to 100,000 first or SPS to 5,000 first?
Bitcoin.
SPS. I wish. There's literally no way.
Why not? So, here's the way. Splinterlands,
Uh-huh.
now that they're becoming a multi-game thing, we'll talk about it later. They dominate the world. No one plays any other game besides a game that's owned by Splinterlands. Every game takes some SPS and burns that SPS to the point where there's only 100 SPS left in the whole world.
Well, I'm not gonna get rid of my 90K, so I don't know how we're ever gonna get down that low.
You're just like still staking it. Everyone's just burned it all, and you're just sitting there. Dude, you'd be rich. You'd be
Yeah, I
rich.
know, right? If it went to $5, sign me up.
Sign me up. I know. I remember the whole world of us always talking about SPS at least to $1. I'm still just waiting for that.
Yeah.
Doesn't even need to be 5. I'm good with $1.
It's gonna take some time, but I'm pretty sure we'll for sure hit 50 again.
Okay. Well,
For sure.
$50?
When did we hit $50 before? I said again, Luke. Do you
In
not
my
understand the words that are
dreams.
coming out of my mouth?
I mean, you are the financial guru here, so.
Yeah, true.
All right.
I just watched Crypto Llama and then I'm like, oh, I understand.
Oh, I watch
that's
Crypto
all I
Llama and then I buy or I sell because don't do your own research. Just listen to a YouTuber and
That's what I used to do for Dwayne. He'd be like, oh, these are the cards I'm buying, or does a video about how great a card is. I'm like, it's going to the moon. Great.
I feel like Bulldog had some pretty big influence at the peak of his
Yes.
thing. It was like
Yes.
he can move a card by like $10 or $20. I feel like sometimes. I mean the legendary or promo ones, but still.
Mhm.
Well, anyways, it looks like a few people have rolled in. So, welcome everybody. This is the Splinter Talk Show back in action. Long time no see, episode 16. It's been about 3 weeks. We had 1 week before NFT NYC. So, all of NFT NYC, I went last week, was like a very last minute thing that happened. So, the week before, I was cramming to get things done ready before going. Last week, I was gone. And now we're back. So, it's been 3 weeks, but thank you guys for being here. Jim, Tales from the Cryptmancer. Steve was going to be on. Unfortunately, his wife got ill or sick for today, I guess. So, Steve, we love you. Send love to the fam. But hopefully we'll get you on again here soon. But, Jim, we'll start with you since it's been a few weeks.
Yes.
I don't even remember the last time you were on. You might have been on the last episode. Anyways,
It's
how's
been
it
a
been? What's good? What's new for you?
Oh, no, not really a whole lot's been going on for me. Just moved, had a falling out with my landlord, is what I like to say. But all set up now in the new place. As you guys can see, minimum security prison is doing wonders for me. And yeah, I got my bed right there. It's hung up right now. So
I think it's my
Yeah.
new favorite streaming background. I mean, remove all those collectibles you had behind you before. Like, who cares? Just that wall.
yeah, I
It's
miss
gorgeous.
those. I miss them so much.
Oh. I'm sorry. Well, we can get you can get some more, including I don't know. Did you get a plushie? Did you grab one of those?
I didn't want
Yeah,
it.
me neither. Yeah. Okay.
I
Well, R.I.P. R.I.P. Anyways, thanks for being on. And
Thank you.
Cryptmancer, Tales from the Cryptmancer. How are you doing? You creating any more Splinterlands drama for us lately?
Yeah, that seems to be the status quo these days. But yeah, no, it's everything's good. Getting lots of, I would say, feedback on the videos, one way or the other. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Well, I think that's always like a good video, though, right? I mean, it's so easy to just put out the content where everyone agrees or everyone is like, well, that's obvious. But to create, I think, good discussion that's like a fair, balanced approach, like that I feel like is the real job of a YouTuber or social media person, right? Like that's how I feel like it should work, but often doesn't. So good job. Anything else going on in life? Anything interesting? It's been a couple weeks since we've heard from you.
No, everything's good. Just hanging out at the crypt. Looks a little bit like Jim's background. And yeah, it's all good.
A little darker, more cobwebs.
Nice.
A few more bats.
All right. Well, before we begin our first topic, how was your guys' end of season rewards? Because mine were junk. I mean, I got redeemed by one pack at the end, but even with the one pack, my whole season gold chests were worth like 432, and the previous season was like 1630 or something like that. So almost a fourth of what I got last season in value. How is your guys' and everyone in the chat? I'm curious.
Ooh, mine was okay. It wasn't great. I definitely have had better, but you know, couple rares. I think like 2 epics. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, sounds like me. Where's your gold chests as well?
Oh wait, no, I lied. I got a legendary. I got a Hardcore.
Okay, well. You're like, I forgot about the gold foil legendary that it pulled.
No, it wasn't
Sorry.
gold foil. It was just the normal dollar Heartclaw.
Sure. What about you, Cryptmancer? Anything interesting you pull today's season?
Not so much. I mean, I think we pulled 54 champion chests, and it was like $14. So it was underperforming.
Yeah, because average, what's the champion chest average estimated value?
68? 68?
Yeah, somewhere like around 50 cents maybe.
So yeah, that's a bit of an underperformance for sure. Oh well. Well, hopefully everyone in the chat, you guys got some better news. It looks like not a lot of people did, but
43.
Hey, you win some, you lose some.
43 cents average.
40. Oh, is there an actual data site now that has updated information?
It has it on Splinter cards. That's all I know about.
Oh well, I'll have to go.
They also have it on SPLExchange.gg, splex.gg, or the former Splinterlands.rentals.
So you guys need to link me this in our chat. I've still been just like using old information. That's what happens when you're gone. Speaking of which, it's been a couple weeks since I've been able to talk with you guys on the Splinter Talk show. So a couple of things I feel like that's come out, a few interesting things. Not like a ton of changes. Like I don't think there's as big as anything as the reward changes that we covered a couple weeks ago. But let's just start with the changes of the daily versus season chest now. I think that was an interesting one. Now we're going to be able to play with whatever you start the day with. If you start in bronze, guess what? You're earning bronze chest. If you start in gold, you're earning gold chest. Doesn't matter what happens throughout the rest of the day. And then the season chests, however, still stand on where you ended last season. So that's staying the same. Daily focus changing. Do you guys like that? They also mentioned some other future changes that haven't come out live yet, but are coming down the road. So what do you guys think about that announcement? Anything interesting? Any strategy change up for you guys?
So before we continue this real quick, right?
Yeah.
Sinister and I were on a video with Dwayne. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And we were talking about this stuff. It was about 2 weeks ago, I think. I want to say, 2 weeks ago. And pretty much the same thing came up of like, do we think that this is a problem? Do we think they're going to change stuff? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's not going to be this upcoming, or it's not going to be that previous season, but I think by the end of the next season, they're going to change it. And people are like, no, you're wrong. It's way too great. There's no problems at all.
Really?
You guys
People are
are
saying
being
that
nuts.
on his show?
And, yeah.
You guys must have different viewers over there, because over here everyone's like, nah, the new changes suck.
And so like when I said this, people were like, no, there's absolutely no way. And I'm not saying I was like spot on, but you know,
No, rub it in their faces. It's okay, Jim. tell them how you really feel.
Yeah, and I think Cryptomancer here, he was saying like he was giving it a little bit more time. He was playing a little safe.
There you go. So. Well, Cryptmancer, what did you guys think about, or what did you think about the changes? Anything interesting that stood out to you? Any change up for how you're going to be playing these games? Oh, there we go. Oh.
From that perspective, we have to see, if it's exploitable or not. I haven't seen anything saying one way or the other if it is or not. But overall, I think the change is good. I can say that.
Oh, losing you for a second there. You still there?
Uh-oh. He's gone.
Oh, okay. Well, just the two of us. We'll get him back on. I don't know why it's always Cryptmancer. Is it something I did to him, you think, or?
Probably. He was upset you put him on the spot.
Ah, bummer.
Even though that's literally why we're here.
I mean, I think for me, the interesting thing is while we wait for Cryptmancer to come back for his point, what I've been saying on stream is now with this change, I think what I'm going to be doing is actually de-ranking back into Silver 1 instead of playing in Gold, but still get Gold chests while being able to play in Bronze and Silver tournaments. Because I don't think I'll actually get that many less season chests, probably like maybe 10 or 20, because it just gets so exponentially hard. Like once you get above 60, 70 chests, like I missed an entire 5 days of last season while in New York. I didn't play like hardly at all. I still only got 11 chests less than I would have gotten this previous season playing every single day, which kind of surprised me. But at the same time, when I looked at it, it's like pretty much from like 25 to 50 is like doubling the amount of points you need. 50 to 75, like it just every like 20 chests or so is just another doubling. So I think in Silver 1, even trying to go for gold chests, I can get my silver chest daily, get still a decent chunk of gold chests at the end of the season, and then play in the tournaments that I can actually compete in. Because I don't know if you've tried playing gold tournaments, you, Jim, or people watching, but they are very difficult.
I pretty much don't play in tournaments at all, except for Brawl. Do we count Brawl as a tournament?
I mean,
it's like the same.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah,
it's Brawl is a little bit more like, I don't know, you get to use your Brawl cards. There isn't as many tryhards, but like in tournaments, everyone's sweaty tryhards, I feel like.
Well, money's on the line, so
Yeah, I mean, they keep talking about guilds having money on the line here soon, but I don't know when that's actually going to come out. I'm really looking forward to actually SPS rewards being for guilds. I think that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But Jim, you never said anything that you're doing differently now. Any changes you want to...
Well, I got a better bot, so like that's one thing I'm doing differently. Not like a whole lot is changing.
But are you putting your bot now in gold or diamond, or like what kind of chests are you trying to aim for now?
Yeah, I tried to just take it like as high as I could to just to see really where it could take me. And I mean, it could take me to diamond if I wanted it to, which I've been telling everyone for a while. Like if you have maxed out silver cards, you are good enough to get into diamond. You can grind the ladder up there. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, sure, of course. But you don't need to sink nearly as much money into it. And but I think what I'm going to do is probably cap it at silver. Um, I'm gonna see how this season goes with farming out gold chest in comparison to what I did last season. Um, and yeah, just take it slow and try to really figure it out.
So you said you can push into diamond, but instead you're going for silver. Is that just because you think you can get more chests in silver that will make up for not getting those better gold or diamond chests?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think I'm really able to climb above like a 3,000 elo rating. So that's, I want to say diamond 1, or my bad, diamond 3. And so I won't really be able to compete well in there. But I know I'll be able to farm out a good amount of chest with being in silver. So, but with this season, I'm going to see how many I can get in gold, and depending on what that number is, I'll either stay in silver or I'll go to gold. Yeah. One of those two.
Good strategy. Well, when you get your stats out there, let us know what you recommend. Yeah. I think we got Cryptmancer back in the call. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Sorry about that. Having some minimal security prison networking issues here.
That is A-okay. Well, I don't remember where we lost you in your point, but if you just want to kind of think back on like what is changing for you with these daily reward changes, or if anything at all.
No, my strategy is pretty much the same this season as last season. I think it's going to be better because as I'm climbing back in the champion, I'll be able to earn diamond chests, which is good. And the season chest will still be champion, but I think I might have got cut off what I was saying earlier was, it really took me all of this last season just to scratch and claw my way back into champion. So the level of competition is super tough. I think I just kind of got back in earlier this morning, right before rewards. And like the previous season, I was able to climb back in, with a couple of days to spare. So from my side, I'm seeing, the competition for our shares being very challenging. So now if I can earn at least on the daily side at the diamond level as I'm climbing, that's probably a good thing, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things it's like both good for players at the top who are trying to push into champion but don't want to be stuck with the daily focus of champion, but also just for players like, hey, I want to test out and push up to, from bronze to silver and see what it's like, or from silver to gold. And if they're like, oh, this is really not working, yeah, their season chest still might be a little bit harder to achieve next season, but at least it gives you some experimentation, where before it's like, oh, well, I pushed it into diamond and oh crap, I can only compete in silver. Well, now I just screwed myself for an entire 2 weeks. So at least that part is nice. And then they also announced, what did you guys think about, I mean, we were talking about this as potential changes, but now it sounds like it's coming true. We're getting more different daily focuses, and eventually it sounds like they're going for the option, whatever we said it was, like option C of, hey, play your focus, you get more points, but even if you don't, you still get points. Do you guys think that's the right change?
I think so.
That's it, yeah. Done, easy.
Yep.
No discussion. It's right.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to see how it's implemented again, because I think there's a potential for abuse there with the with not owning or not renting and spamming things. So we'll have to see how the math works out. So I'll say I'll just like to reserve judgment until I see the final product.
So what do you mean by exploiting by spamming? You're like, oh, I got a opportunity focus, so I'm just going to only rent opportunity cards. Is that a problem?
Going to be problems, but I would say overall, kind of just giving you points for the focus, your daily focus from playing anything, just makes it better gameplay overall, because then if one person's just spamming out Earth, well then you and especially if they're playing Lamacron, then you kind of just set it up to where you have the cards to beat Lamacron.
Yeah, the reason I guess where I'm approaching it from is, the whole point of the daily focus and the starter card, removal was to make sure that you had to either own or rent the cards to earn, in the game. And now if you can still earn towards your daily focus without having necessarily. I know it was kind of a loophole where you could just rent a splinter in the current game status to spam that and then get the rewards. But now if you allow for the earning of R shares and the daily focus without having the daily focus in play, you're kind of taking a step backwards and going back to the old world where you can earn but not really. You still have to own the cards or rent the cards, but now you're again leaving a loophole. And the reason I say that is because like with Archmage bot, like you can spam the bot to run like let's say four battles an hour. You can burn your ECR down to like 26-27% basically into the ground at that point. And yeah, you might not get maximum R shares, but every battle you win, you're still getting something. And because the bot can run 24/7, 365, even if it's not at 100% or somewhere in the 90s or 80s, it still doesn't matter because you're always earning. So when I see that you can earn and not necessarily have a focus or anything like that, for me it seems like it could be a loophole for not necessarily Archmage but just bots in general to spam and earn rewards that they really shouldn't be earning. I think it might have a negative impact on the rental market as well.
I'm curious on your thoughts. So how is that different from now? Because can't a bot just take, hey, I have an Earth Splinter and I'm going to spam Earth over and over and over again? So is that, I guess, if that's a problem that's going to happen with the no focus or you can earn without the focus, how is that different from now with people or bots spamming, hey, I'm just going to play the same focus over and over again?
Well, because
you're still earning.
Yeah, what's going to happen is now they're just going to get optimized neutral cards and certain cards that aren't Splinter or focus specific and just rent those. And even though if they earn a reduced share, they're not going to have to change anything up, right? So in the past, they might have to change every day or every other day a rental focus and rent different things. Now they can just rent whatever's optimal, whether it's neutral or whatever, and they'll still be able to earn. So again, just in just pure game theory terms, it's possibly exploitable.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it is potential for bots to have an advantage in that, but I also think it's nice for players in general because I think one of the hard parts about having all these daily focuses is that before this, you could really get away with like, hey, I'm going to focus on building up maybe 2 or 3 decks. Like, hey, I don't have the money to buy 6 different gold level max decks, right? But what I can do is I can get, hey, I really like Death, I really like Earth. I'm going to go and run those 2 teams and build up a gold level deck first through that. And I think now removing the fact that you don't have to have all 6 splinters is healthier for players. I am curious to see how that affects bots going forward. But I do think it's nice to just be like, hey, instead of just spreading yourself thin, you can really kind of be a specialized player. And, you'll still have the problem of, okay, not every match you can use all 6 elements. So there might be a match or 2 where you don't have a deck that can be played at that level. But I think it'll give you a more chance to be specialized in one area or maybe 2 or 3 decks, which will be nice for players trying to get into the game.
Yeah, I would say overall gameplay, it makes it a better choice to give you something for winning with any deck.
Yeah. Well, I think the other big change, right, is that now I'm losing my train of thought. Let's just let's just jump into the spicy conversation because I see people had already mentioned it. But Jim, it's your fault. You brought up the bot here, and then Critmancer brought up the bot again. So I think we should just jump into it because I think that's what everyone wants to talk about, and I'm very curious to get your guys' thoughts as well. Critmancer, you brought up a video where an Archmage bot player was #1 in champion, at least for a day or two, right? So talk to us about that for a little bit. Like, what did you find doing that video?
So, I think what's interesting, just for, I guess, a disclaimer, I think both Jim and I are using Archmage bot right now. I have one bot running, and I think Jim, you have at least one as well. So, from that perspective, I do have experience with it. And I guess my take on the whole bot discussion right now is that for Archmage specifically, which I consider like a premium bot or a really a battle focused kind of asset focused bot is that there's really no way to, I would say, determine or know that you're using the bot, because the what the bot is doing is basically what I was doing previously manually by hand using my battle history and like a tool like Splinter board. But I was doing it much slower and with a much smaller set of data. So all Archmage bot is doing is basically the same thing I was doing manually, but doing a better job of it, period. So from that perspective, whether I was doing that or whether the bot was doing it, there's no way for the game to really detect it. And we're doing the same thing. It's just that the bot's doing it better and faster, right? So from that perspective, I don't think there's any way that Splinterlands or really any game in this space could really truly police bots. So I think, from that perspective, it'd be a losing battle to try and combat it. I think what the team needs to do is what they've been doing. It's focusing on making sure that there aren't exploits for bots, whether they're, a bot that's like a premium bot like Archmage, or if it's something like, the bots that have the 10,000 bot farms out there in the ecosystem that are just farming rewards at the lower levels. So as long as they can make, as long as they can make it so that the bots play with the same rules that humans play with, and there's a balance in the ecosystem and the macro economy, then from that perspective, I think it's fine. And that's the best you can hope for. I will also say that when I was doing kind of research around, bots and the leaderboard, and what I found was, I think there's probably a long history of bots being used at the highest levels of the game in the leaderboards. Just it was never spoken about or really commonly known. And again, because you can't really detect what this bot is doing necessarily, because it's not like a bot farm. It's like maybe one or two, accounts that are optimally run and using, great selection choices for their teams. So I think what a bot like Archmage does is it opens up to basically, the Krill crew and basically anyone who wants to use the token, because it's publicly available and for use eventually. Like, I know they have limits on what's available right now because it just came out of closed beta. But, in the past, I think it's very reasonable to think that there were other privately owned bots that were operating the leaderboard that you or I would never have access to otherwise. So from that perspective, I think it's a more even playing field.
Yeah, I think it's just such a different discussion, because before bots it's always an economic thing. Like, oh, there's massive bot farms. They're getting tens of thousands of accounts and getting all these rewards. To me, I've just come to the conclusion that I don't really care enough about that, because, they really help the economy at this point. Like, if you take them away, like, it's going to have some big repercussions and whatever. But this is almost an interesting flip side of that, of, okay, the team has said, we don't really care if bots are raking in rewards as long as they're putting stuff into the system. However, we don't want bots to have a distinct advantage over humans. And so that's why I'm curious. You guys have used this bot. Do you guys feel like this bot now has, it's just going to be able to beat humans? Maybe not every time, but 60, 70% of the time. Whereas those bot farms, they don't care what their win rate is. They could have a 30% win rate and still be raking in rewards. But now they're climbing on leaderboards, and this is publicly being thrown out there. Maybe, as you said, Cryptmancer, people were doing this already before, but now it's like, okay, this service is out there, anyone can use it, and people have been saying, I'm using it, and I'm on the leaderboard. Do you guys think that's a distinct advantage for the bot, or is it just the fact that they have so many good cards and, they probably would have been on the leaderboard anyways?
Yeah, I can maybe...
Cards. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think you're right, Jim. With the research that I was able to do, to get on the leaderboard, you had to have the assets to get you on the leaderboard. So if you look at Infinity, or you look at Imposter, which were the number 1 and number 2 champion rank leaderboard positions, at least as of yesterday, when at a point in time when they're both using Archmage, the assets associated with those accounts at the time they were on the top board were like huge, like either whether they were rented or owned. it was significant dollars and like, you know, 2 million CP worth of cards. So it's not like you can magically climb to the leaderboard, you know, with one B6 cards. You have to have the assets behind the bot. All the bot is doing is helping to make optimal decisions on team compositions. So from that perspective, from an economic perspective, it's checking all the boxes of what the team is looking to do. The bigger question I think that you might be getting to, Luke, is, you know, what does it mean if, you know, the top 20 collections in the game all use Archmage bot as an example, and it's all automated, and then it's just, you know, is it just the bigger collection wins? And it's hard to say because, you know, if everyone has max, you know, champion level decks that are in the leaderboard using the service, then what happens? But here's what I would, yeah, exactly right. But here's the bigger question is, you know, raise your hand in the audience and on stream here if you're competing for one of those top leaderboard spots. I know I'm not. I think it's a very small, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, you know, maybe 150 people in the game total right now. It's a very small number that we're really talking about here. So a lot of the comments, what I found interesting is a lot of the comments on my videos, I should say, talking about this type of topic recently, you know, were all comments from people that necessarily weren't, let's say, directly influenced or impacted, you know, by the finding necessarily. It was more comments of how they felt, you know, not let's say morally, but more from a philosophical perspective around what was happening to the game that, you know, they obviously have a vested interest in.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the big issues, right? It's more perception maybe than the actual problem. As you said, like, I'm not competing on a leaderboard, so I don't care for like I'm not going to get screwed out of the 20,000 DEC on the silver leaderboard because I'm not going to be there anyways. But I think it's a perception thing as well of like, okay, if the top players in this game and if people are viewing as top players in ranked mode, then, you know, what does it say that a bot is beating out someone like Bulldog that's popular or whatever, you know? It's like, I don't know, Jim, you've played a lot of card games, not NFTs, offline, right? And like, imagine what is like a Magic the Gathering tournament and it's this player against a bot, you know, and you know this bot is going to beat it 4 out of 5 times because it just has all this knowledge. I mean, like, can you imagine why would people watch that or go anymore, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Magic's also so complex. You really couldn't program a bot to win like 80% of the time. There's kind of, especially since there's no deck in Magic right now. In terms of modern, I don't know about other formats, older formats, but there's nothing that's just like a tier 0 deck, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's part of the problem is that Splinterlands is just not complex of a game enough, so it is that easy to bot. And, you know, I know the team have talked about that, like, hey, when land comes out and there's the weapons and spell casting. But even then, I think the way that it's set up, I still think it's still going to be programmable at that point, even with that second layer. I don't know, only time will tell.
I kind of see Splinterlands kind of like how chess is. So if you guys aren't aware, if going first in chess, you set up a bot to go against another bot, it will always win every single game because it knows every possible move that you can make in chess and against every single possible answer that they do to your move, and the white bot versus the black bot will always win the game. Because going first in chess, you kind of have like a 55% chance to win. So you start bringing in players into it. There's no possible way for them to know every single possible outcome of chess, but these bots are able to do it. So right. I kind of see it being like that.
Right, and so the problem becomes maybe Archmage is only, I don't know what the win rate is. What are you guys getting, like 60, 70%?
Yeah, it's up there.
So, yeah, I mean, that's not not, like game crushing, but imagine if it keeps getting better and better and reads more data and more data, it becomes 90%. And of course, there's going to be ways to counter if you know what the bot can play, and maybe you can think of a counter to what you know a bot is going to play. But then at the same time, then the bot learns how to counter the counter and counter, and you just kind of keep going back and forth, I feel like. So, I don't know. It's, again, it's not so much the leaderboard prizes. And, one of the things is, I think that the perception is wrong that the ranked players are the best players in the game. I kind of wish that, honestly, they would just get rid of leaderboard prizes in general. And because I feel like the leaderboard becomes a lot more about who can just play the most amount of games, whereas in a tournament, every single match matters. And so I'd rather see a system of like, hey, there's a season-long tournament. Maybe you play a couple matches a day. It's a Swiss format. As you win, you move up. If you lose, you kind of move down in each bracket. And then that really is the winner of champion that season or the winner of silver that season. Instead of, hey, guess what? I played 900 games in silver and have a really strong deck. Guess what? I won enough games to be number one on the leaderboard. So that's part of the problem is like the perception of, hey, this player was champion. And they didn't finish champion one. I think they finished like 15 or something. But it's that perception of, oh, our best player in the game for a moment was a bot. And I just don't think there's that many people that like that idea specifically. I don't know, Cryptmancer, do you agree? Does that bother you at all? I know that a lot of people did in your comments.
Yeah, I think also maybe a bigger question is, we've been talking about it from a ranked rewards perspective, but I think the bigger question is how it might affect tournaments, because I think that's kind of where the line needs to be drawn, I think, to some degree, because and I think it will with time, with the whole esports work that Weirdbeard is doing, with at least from a high dollar or high visibility tournaments, like talking about the KYC aspect of that. Now, again, there's still no way to necessarily police it. I don't know, even if they could, prevent the submission of the team from a bot, you could, in theory, still run the bot on the side and say, hey, here's the here's the scenario, here's the mana, what's the best team I should put in, right? So they could run it as like a tool locally, right? So from that perspective, again, I don't know if there's any way to eliminate it other than to do in-person events or something similar to that, like we'll have at likely Splinterfest. But again, that's maybe a discussion for Weirdbeard and the team to tackle as things grow. But I do think that is the area that has the most risk, because like you said earlier when you led with the question to Jim is, would you want to do a Magic the Gathering tournament against a bot? It just wouldn't make sense. Ranked battle is one thing. It's a game mode, right? That we can understand how that could be used. But tournaments just seems like it's kind of like sacred ground where it really shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. And I know Weirdbeard has mentioned KYC tournaments, but even as you said, just because you have a KYC doesn't mean they know that person isn't using a specialized bot to help win matches. So that is going to be interesting. I think they should, in theory, at least make a rule. I know they're not against bots in rank play. That's fine. I've accepted that. Like I'm beyond caring if there's bots in rank play, but I think you're right in the sense of I think they need to put their foot down for tournaments, as you said, and at least make it a rule. Maybe it's hard to judge if people are using bots, but if at least there's a threat of like that's a lot of esports games that are done online, right? Like you can talk about like amateur League of Legends scene or whatever you want to say. There's people that have cheated, got caught eventually, and guess what? They're banned for life from that league. It's like that serious, so that the threat is big enough that at least people are discouraged from doing it. Maybe people still do it every once in a while, but instead of inviting everyone, hey, use your bots, we don't care. I think there needs to be some sort of like, hey, we're not going to allow bots, at least in tournaments, or at least these specific tournaments. We're going to crack down on it and make sure that it's protected and there's integrity to it. Because if there's just a world where it's the bots are in every single play and they're always winning, then it's just going to demoralize people from wanting to play anymore. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know, Jim, do you agree with that? Or
yeah, it's also the same problem, cheating problem with CSGO as well. people using aimbots. People have done this on main stage events for CS:GO and have gotten caught.
How did they do it on a main stage event?
Look, so there's an on-running gag, okay? So, like, this dude had a TXT. It was a TXT folder or file on a USB that he brought. And it was really a programmed bot that he pretty much installed on the computer. And people found out about it, and he tried to delete it before the people got to him, but he wasn't able to. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's, there's always been cheating in esports. It's just now.
If you're not cheating, are you really trying, right?
Yes. I mean, esports have been facing this for a long time, and it's no different. I mean, esports have tournament prizes. It's just the fact that now we're talking about crypto prizes. It's really no different. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think the one thing that's for certain games using blockchain technology, it will actually maybe reveal easier who's cheating. But in Splinterlands, as you guys said, it's kind of hard. And people mention things like Splinter tools. I don't know. I feel like a bot like Archmage that's doing a lot better is even more of an advantage than Splinter tools. I've never really felt like Splinter tools is actually that much like a game changer. I don't know. For me, it feels different. But you guys have used Archmage. Have you guys used the Splinter tools thing before to try to win matches? Do you guys feel like it's different?
I never personally used it, no.
Yeah, again, it's different levels. So Splinter Tools is still manual, right? So you still have to go in and create the team yourself, and it'll tell you based on the team that you're entering, kind of what your quote win percentage is. But that was always fallible, right? Because it's giving you a percentage based on what it knows, and there'd be chances where I get like a 0% chance to win and I would win, and vice versa, where I'd have a 100% chance and lose. So the data there was, take it with a grain of salt what you get with the data. But in this case, the difference here with like a bot like an Archmage is that, again, the data that it's collecting and it's using is quite optimized, and it's doing it for you versus you constructing it manually and saying, hey, what are my chances? It's kind of like with Splinter Tools, it's kind of like you have a little magic 8-ball that you shake before you submit your team and say, well, am I gonna, are things looking good here? And whereas Archmage just basically says, here, run with this, and you're likely to win. So
yeah, and I think that's probably where I draw the line. And again, I don't know, maybe final statements here if you guys have any other ideas. My final statement is ranked play, I don't really care. I do wish they would change the leaderboards so it's not who just plays the most matches and that's who's determined as the best player, because I do think that favors bots in a lot of ways. And then thirdly, some way, somehow, they need to crack down bots being used in tournaments. I don't know. Anything you guys would add to that as a final statement or disagree at all?
I'd be perfectly fine with bots not being allowed in tournaments. Makes sense to me.
Cryptmancer, any other final thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is the case. And I think, Archmage is, not said that they will do anything with tournaments. I think the development team behind the tool that we're specifically speaking of right now is, has the ecosystem and the game's best interests, at heart. They're not trying to come in and wreck the game or wreck tournaments or anything like that. So I think from that perspective, at least we have a good actor, versus, again, in the past, this was kind of hush-hush type stuff that no one really knew about. And, they probably kept it that way for a reason, right? So at least in this regard, I think at least, we have visibility to it. And again, I think it's something that needs to be addressed moving forward. How it gets addressed, we'll have to see.
I just had a funny idea.
Yeah.
So I see people talking about, ban the bots, get rid of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, maybe in like 100, 200 years, AI bots are going to be walking around us, wanting to participate and everyday activities as well. And then we're going to have a civil rights movement for AI and bots and how they shouldn't be banned in tournaments against human players.
Maybe you're right, Jim. Maybe we are just not thinking of future enough. Maybe really the future
Times change.
The future of sports and esports is that we just watch bots being programmed. We don't actually like. Why do you need humans?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Wasn't there some boxing movie that had Wolverine in it, and he was like moving around with some mechanical boxing thing? I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can just have robots play football. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's a lot of horse racing games coming out in NFT gaming. Those are just bots running around that we say that we own and bet on, right? I mean, I don't know, man. We're just not thinking futuristic enough, guys. Let's just only have bots. Down with the humans. Down
We're
with
not
the
200
humans.
IQ yet, are we? Guess not.
We're just behind the times. Like the next generation after us, they're like, what? Humans played sports and esports? That's so lame. They suck.
Are you boomers?
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe we're old thinking, but I think a lot of people are. So I think that's really something the team needs to figure out, because I think it's more so. My fear isn't bots taking rewards for me. My fear is more and more players see how prevalent bots are. We're talking about bots all the time. We already saw in Cryptmancer, your video, there's a lot of people that commented like, hey, this is awful. This is why I've left the game, or I'm leaving the game, or maybe it will prevent new players. And that's more so what I think needs to change, is the perception, so that people don't see it as, oh, this is the bot game, so I'm not going to get into it. Who knows? Well, let's talk about something else. How about for a moment? A little more fun discussion, maybe. A little more good news discussion. I don't know. Do you guys see it as good news? But the SPS airdrop ending very soon. Less than a month. I want to get you guys' hot takes. How will things change? How soon will we see SPS at $5? Anything you guys are thinking about or doing differently now that airdrop's coming to a close?
Honestly, I think it's kind of sad. Because how I'm thinking about it, right, is like, I was pretty much here from the beginning of the airdrop, and just like where the journey has taken me, meeting Luke, meeting Sinister, meeting Dwayne, doing the Zen Sports tournament cast with Luke, and
you left out Steve's name.
Who?
Are you Steve? Are you still in a fight with him?
No, I left out a lot of people's names.
I'm kidding. Continue.
And so it's just like kind of coming to an end of some chapter that was like I was keeping track of every single day, essentially, along with this airdrop, and it's kind of like a chapter's closing in its book.
Yeah. It's like a sad memorial for our daily claim. We won't be able to hit the daily claim. I mean, we can hit it on our staking.
What?
Isn't that a trip? What am I going to do for like 5 minutes every morning now?
Yeah. I'm going to have nothing to do.
Oh, Cryptmancer, save us here. Anything that... I guess I want to hear your takes. Like, what are the biggest factors that will change for Splinterlands now that airdrop's coming to a close?
Yeah, I think it's significant. I would almost say that there's going to be, like as Jim mentioned, a chapter known as essentially, airdrop and AAD, or after airdrop, because the game is significantly going to change in like 20 odd days. Now, I wouldn't even try and guess where things are going to go here, because a lot of it's going to be influenced by what the devs do once the airdrop ends. Do they immediately introduce staked SPS rewards into the game when the airdrop ends? Stuff like that. I mean, we just don't know what levers are going to be pulled. And the market can react in a lot of different ways once that timer hits zero. You've got the DEC value pegged. We can see a lot of Chaos Legion packs maybe opened or bought based on those airdrop points not being worth anything, essentially. So all bets are off. I think anyone who tries to predict what's going to happen is just a guess. So I wouldn't try and say this is, I think, what's going to happen. I will just say it's going to be, like I said, a whole new era, an AAD, piece of Splinterland's history that's coming up. What I will say, though, for sure, that's going to be different is, and Aggie's mentioned it on the town hall several times, is that, SPS in theory should get a lot harder to get and obtain. Right now, there's been a gravy train for the last year, especially for all the OG players, which I'm not one of those. But they've been literally getting, in some cases, hundreds of dollars shipped to them daily that they just have to wake up and click a button. And those days are ending. Unless those individuals put a lot of that SPS into nodes, the free SPS train is stopping. And what does that mean for the game's economy when all of a sudden money's not growing on trees, literally, right? And you actually have to take money out of your bank account and deposit it into the game. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what happens with the economy and what happens with those players. But yeah, that's just one aspect of the game that I think is going to change. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a rude awakening here very soon for people for the last year that have, definitely had a different perspective on the game and the prices and values in the game moving forward here.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that we shouldn't guess because who knows, but that's exactly what we do here on the Splinter Talk show, Cryptmancer. So I think before we continue the discussion, we gotta get a game show going here. So I think per 3 of these challenges here, everyone's got to put a Venari Heatsmith on the line because that's a big deal.
I thought you were going to say a Gargoyle Lion.
No, I'm never giving away a Gargoyle Lion. That's.
But you could win some. Think about it.
No, but I can't put those on the line. It's too dangerous. Too dangerous. So, first up, you guys got this is random prediction. This is not financial advice, except for when Jim says it, because he's always right.
Right.
So, obviously, the day after the SPS airdrop ends, things might not shift a ton. It might take a little bit of time for things to catch up and change. So, let's go predictions for end of August here, okay? First one. Let's go high or low SPS 10 cents. Jim. Will it make the climb, especially with Bitcoin at 18K right now or 20K now?
I don't. So here's the tough part, right? So it'll also be around that time that we still get, or that we're starting to get SPS from the nodes as well. So some people will still have daily SPS airdrop coming in, essentially. Do I think
going low?
Essentially going to? I don't think lower than 10 cents. I'll say lower than 10 cents.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be. We're saying end of August.
End of August, yeah.
I will say lower than 10 cents.
Okay. All right, throw out a random number because we might need a tiebreaker. We might all say low.
Oh man. Okay. I'll say like. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
6.9 cents.
Of course. What a prediction. All right, Cryptmancer, high, low. What is it?
Well, if we're being realistic, I think the crypto market in general has a lot of choppy waters ahead of us in the near term. And I don't see Bitcoin necessarily being recovered by August. So I would say under 10 cents because we're not decoupled from Bitcoin, unfortunately. And no matter how much good news or hopium comes our way, if we're fighting the Bitcoin headwinds, it's just not going to, get us where we want to be. So I would say under 10 cents. I honestly, again, not financial advice. I think that the chance of Bitcoin being, let's say, 14 to 15K versus over 20K in August is probably more likely than not. So I would say lower, and I would say 3 cents. Now that's the short term. That's short term. So to be clear, you asked me for a prediction, and I'm being realistic. That's fair. Obviously, long term, I'm very bullish on SPS and Splinterlands, and think it will.
That's fair.
Eventually recover, but I just don't think August is the time frame.
Well, your prediction's no fun, so I'm gonna This is not what I would actually predict, but this is my heart evaluation. I'll go high just because you guys are so lame. I'll say 10.2 cents. The war is going to end. The world's going to go back to peace. Rates are going lower. Bitcoin to 50K again. SPS over 10 cents. You're hearing it here first. And when you guys see it go to the moon, come thank me. All right. End of August. Let's go to the next one. How many packs will be sold? How many packs? How many legendary summoners are we going to have by the end of August, you guys think?
I'll say, what are we at right now? Almost 8? No, almost 9. I'll say 9.5 mil.
That's it?
I don't think it's going to be.
Whoa!
I don't think it's going to be a lot.
Whoa, Cryptmancer, save Jim. What's your prediction? Give us a better one than that.
He stole my prediction.
What?
Yeah, no, I think Grandmaster Wraith will be out, but I don't think we'll be much past 9.5 by August. It's I know we've seen Aggie's kind of chart and we've looked at the history with Untamed and stuff like that. I just think we're in a different realm and a different ballpark from a timing perspective and also just from a player perspective. When we saw the numbers that Commander Chaos had released with the number of reward chests being earned by accounts, and still a lot of those potentially being bot accounts, that number just is not going to move the needle fast enough unless outside capital or new players enter the game. And honestly, Chatter has not brought new players to the game at this point in the level that we would need to see that number move significantly. And with SPS airdrop ending, again, when you have free money drying up, that doesn't necessarily mean more money being spent by the existing player base. So again, short-term bearish on that number.
But don't you guys think everyone's holding on to DEC? I mean, what are people going to do with their DEC? I mean, the best value, in theory, is to go buy packs at Peg, right?
Oh yeah, no, I've done the math on that as well on a video, Luke. And
okay, how many packs was it?
Well, I mean, it's not enough to move the needle, honestly. I mean, the DEC, yes, from a perspective, when you see, people holding millions of DEC going to buy packs with it, millions seems like a lot. But when the token's worth 0.0006, X or whatever, you can have lots of millions of DEC and it really doesn't equal lots of dollars in the real world. So,
well, I mean, it's at Peg, so they're not getting 0.006 if they're buying packs. They're getting 0.001, right?
Yeah, it's a rounding error at that point, really. I mean, when you do the math on the number of DEC that might come into the ecosystem, it's
so
maybe
1 million.
500,000 packs. I mean, we'd have to go back to the video and see the number. But even if you took the top, if you go to the Peak Monsters dashboard and look at the top holders, and just take, let's say, the top 10. And now, granted, a lot of those are holding accounts for liquidity pools and other things, so aren't accurate. But just take that top 10 or whatever, take that and say, let's say 100% of those cashed out into packs and do the math there. It's just not the numbers you would imagine.
Yeah, Eric is saying 100 million DEC is 25,000 packs. So, yeah, that's still a lot of DEC needed. But hey, you know what? You guys are, again, you're just bringing me down. I'm going to go higher than that because I'm hopeful for no reason. No good or logical reason, but because I just want to be combative towards you two guys. So I'm going to go 11 mil. We have 3 legendary summoners. Let's go. Let's do it, guys. Come on, go buy packs. Go buy packs. Everyone, hit the button quick. I think there's going to be a good push of packs. I don't know. I mean, you're right. A million DEC is 250 packs, so a million DEC isn't going to push the needle too much. But I would imagine that a lot of people have got to be holding on to a good amount of DEC. And what I'm going to be doing, and I think a lot of players are going to be doing, is now, hey, go buy packs. You get to either hold them or open them and add to your collection. And then secondly, you're getting more airdrop points for the legendary summoners coming. And even though people bought up a lot of packs for the legendary airdrops a long time ago, and they're like, oh, I'm going to get more value out of it, those previous 8 legendary drops aren't worth as much anymore, right? But the legendary summoners, they're going to be juicy. Like, that's what everyone was buying packs for in the first place. So if you're telling me that, like, hey, I have millions and millions of DEC and I can get more airdrops while still having pretty much all the remaining legendary summoners out, I think that's a pretty juicy offer. So I don't know. In my mind, I think we could see a good juicy amount of packs being bought after the SPS airdrop. I don't know if it's going to be 11 million, but my fingers are crossed.
The other thing I was also considering was people will be using DEC also for guilds because we will be getting more rewards. Well, SPS will eventually be coming to guilds as well. So, or for the brawls.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. All right, so we're all agreeing to disagree. So let's go one more.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think the price of DEC at the end of August? We got SPS airdrop ending. So does it lose its utility and tank from there? Is the pack peg enough? Is the split between modern and wild with the doubling of the DEC pool affect things too much? I mean, what do you guys think? Give us an estimated guess here.
I go with 0.0005.
Ooh, 50% off packs.
Yeah, because that's what they're
Not
selling
bad.
on Hive Engine right now. Unless there's a movement in the price of packs on Hive Engine or in the value of cards in Chaos Legion, that's probably what we'll see. I mean, markets will market. You know, if you look at the voucher floor, for example, with nodes, the voucher floor for nodes is $3 right now. But because nodes aren't selling in mass quantities, vouchers are selling for like 50 cents. So the same thing with DEC is most likely to happen. You know, if there's not enough buyers of packs, even though the floor is set at 0.0001, again, if, you know, you got to have a buyer to pay that virtual peg or floor for it to hold. So let's see. I mean, I hope I'm wrong on all this, but what I can say is that generally speaking, when you look at anything in this bear market, whether it's Chaos Legion packs, whether it's vouchers, you know, any of these things, they've all underperformed, even with, you know, peg set or virtual floor sets. And this is just the market we're in right now.
All right, Jim, you going for the 0.0069?
No, I don't think I will this time.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay, cool. I think it'll drop a little bit, and I think Steve's kind of right on the money. I think dropping down to that 0.006, so 60 cents per thousand, I think it'll be around that.
Okay. All right, well, we'll see. These are some good guesses. I mean, it's kind of depressing because most of us are saying, hey, things are looking bad still in the crypto market. Things are going down. Does that concern you guys, or is this just like, hey, sweet, things are down, it's just going to be my time to stack up and I'm still bullish long term? Like, has it changed your long term view at all about this game?
Well, I mean, markets are going to market, you know, and but for me, I know that people can make a whole lot of money during a bear market. That is when you can become a lot more rich than you have been before. But when we're in like a bull market, that's when people can just make some money. Like, you have to be there when it's hard times, and then it comes back.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, you know, if you go on Amazon, they have those metal finders that you use on the beach and stuff. Well, I'm looking for dry powder finders. That's what I'm investing in right now, because I'm trying to find additional monies to, like Jim says, to pack my bags right now. So
Yeah. Hashtag play with your bags. Got to get it in there since Rogue isn't here tonight.
Shout out to Rogue.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like, everything's down in crypto. Like, we can exit, we can quit, but I think for those of us, everyone that's said this before, I mean, everyone's much smarter than me, so don't take my word for it. But, you know, give it 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and, you know, now maybe the world's in a better spot again. The whole world economy is better, and as long as, of course, Splinterlands can keep things going, which it seems like they've done before, and if they can figure out some of the issues, I mean, obviously we've talked about some of the issues already with the game. If they can fix some of the issues, they continue to improve it. And I think the biggest factor is, can they make it continually more and more fun for new players to get into this game? I mean, no matter what, if they don't do that, then, you know, nothing's really going to increase unless there's some new players in the game and a new audience wanting to come in as well. But I mean, I still enjoy the game. I think there's things that they can improve to get new players into the game. But as long as they do that and we fix things over time, I'm not changing my opinion about really anything for the next 2 to 3 year outlook. And I would rather be here playing, having fun, stacking things up over time.
And I think that's an interesting point, Luke, is because let's say you take, general figures. Let's say, let's say Dwayne's period of the game, there was 2,000 players playing the game. And let's say at the peak of, Untamed hype, it was, 40 to 50,000 players in the game. That number is so small in the grand scheme of things. And look at the price action that happened with those numbers. Can you imagine if all the Magic the Gathering players come over, or Hearthstone players, or if it even becomes a mainstream game? So that's what we're looking for. And that's why I mentioned, the work that Chatter is doing. Instead of looking at plushies and things like that and miniatures, yeah, I understand those are side projects or what have you. But if we really truly get the adoption that we're looking for, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I feel bad for Chatter because everyone points to him. I mean, like, he's just the face of the marketing. But I think really the whole team probably needs to find some new avenues. And I think part of it, too, is what we've heard them speak about before is, like, you got to be careful about timing as well because you don't want to show a product off that isn't ready to be advertised for. And, I mean, like, for instance, just what was it? A day or two ago, it was like finally when I can open up my phone and actually see my daily focus and what it is. Like, those types of things are a big problem, right? For, like, if a new player's coming in and playing their phone, like, it's still a garbage app. So it's like one of those catch-22s. It's like, okay, we need to do more to advertise and bring new players in, but it's like also gotta get to the level where it feels like new players can get in and enjoy it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I actually had a comment on my videos just this evening talking exactly about that point. And the question was, is there a way to track or report on how many mobile users are playing the game right now? And I don't think there is, at least to my knowledge. But the commenter's point was, we saw a precipitous drop off in daily active users or accounts once the new rank rewards system came out. And a lot of the assumptions were, hey, these are all bots that have been turned off because they need to reprogram. But the commenter's point was, well, there's a lot of players that maybe have played the game on a mobile device that simply can't right now because they can't do the rank rewards functions and features, right? So that could also be contributing to that decline as well, and we just don't know it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're probably truly on their mobile, I would think they would have at least the Hive app, because at least on the Hive app you can log in and see what your daily focus is and claim it. But it is a tough workaround. Like you,
yeah, you
have to set it all up. It's still not very good. Like playing within the Hive engine, it's awful playing, and then claiming it usually gives you like a lag. You have to quit, get back in. So yeah, I mean, I'd be interested. I think if you're a diehard fan, you'd probably be willing to put in the work, but it's definitely work. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that does change. I'm wondering. So yeah, what do you guys think about Steve's comment? What giving away $350 to push Splinterlands TV over 100 viewers at once? Yeah, this is an interesting thought. I don't know. I'm always like, giveaways are such an interesting thing because I feel like a lot of people come for the giveaway and then they leave and they don't actually care. So that's my problem with giveaways.
That's actually part of the reason I don't even do giveaways on Splinterlands TV. Like when they gave me the packs to do it, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll give it away. But normally I don't really like to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want people to be, listening to the stream because they want to be, because they're interested in the game or they want to see the gameplay or want to hear about the game, not because I'm giving away free stuff. For me, that's just my personal reason. And I know a lot of streamers are very popular because they just give away free stuff. I mean, that's how they stream and they get subs and all that, which is fine. I mean, that seems like a circular type of engagement there. But yeah, I mean, I think that I've made a video about this as well, is the number of, and to be clear, Splinterlands TV is making great progress in getting content for Splinterlands out on Twitch and getting attention to that. And we've made, I think Ron was saying it's like 1,300, I think, followers now we're up to, but it's just a small drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. There's so many smaller games than us in theory that have a much bigger streaming audience than Splinterlands from a community perspective. So again, there's a lot of work to be done there. And it's going to take some time, but the numbers are very, very small. I mean, getting 100 concurrent viewers on a stream when Steve's giving away something like a Mylor is not great. I mean, obviously Steve giving away a Mylor is fantastic, right? But the those numbers are still very, very small for what the value was there.
Yeah, we're in trouble. Steve in chat says all three of them just maybe stop giving stuff away. It's not giving stuff away I have a problem with. It's like, how do you give it to the people who deserve it, right? And are there for the right reasons rather than I'm here to like literally like, I don't know, like that's what always bugged me of like, I'm doing a giveaway stream and now viewers are up at 100 versus like when I do normal stream, viewers are up at 30. It's like, okay, to those 30, I do want to reward and give them stuff. Like I want to say like, thank you, like you're awesome. Like I want to give back to you and helping create this great community. To the 70 who are here just only when we do a giveaway, it's like, that's kind of the annoying part, I guess. It's like, you can't really solve it, I guess.
No, you could do that at that point. Don't even advertise that you're doing a giveaway.
Yeah, well, I've done that before
stream,
too. Yeah, just give it away.
At the end or in the middle of it, be like, oh, giving away stuff.
Yeah.
Forever, to people here.
Yeah. I will mention in the chat too, Weird Beer is saying that, Chatter does a lot actually in behind the scenes, because I think that's a problem. And maybe we get him on the show actually would be a good idea, because I don't feel like he gets enough FaceTime in the town halls to really tell what he's working on doing, just like the quick updates. So everyone sees like, oh, he's the guy that did Waka. Oh, he's the guy that did plushies. How is that helping? Oh, he's not doing anything else. It's like, really? Do you think he's not doing anything else? Like he works full time. You think that's all he's done in the last 3 months? Like, give me a break. Like, I don't know what he's doing, so maybe it'd be good to actually have him on the show. But I just feel bad for the guy at this point. It's like, okay, maybe those weren't the most successful things, but like, I'm sure that's not all he's doing.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't get more FaceTime because he doesn't have a beard. I'm fairly certain. Fairly certain.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, well. Well, I'm sure we could hit that topic a lot more, but I do want to hit up one more before we close off tonight, because we're talking about Splinterlands as the card game, but I think one of the interesting things they announced again, I can't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, but Splinterlands expanding out to a multi-game platform. They talked about, hey, we're not using our own developers, but another studio's come on board, and they're creating another game, and you're going to be able to use your SPS and DEC for payments. Maybe we'll airdrop you stuff. There's no promises. We're still early in the talks. What do you guys think that means for Splinterlands? What does that mean for SPS and DEC? Is that make you guys more bullish? Is that like, who cares? It probably doesn't matter anyways. What are the implications of this, you guys think?
I think it's a great thing. Like, best case scenario, we have another thing to use our assets for. Worst case scenario, nothing happens.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they're not using their own resources, right? Their own developers, then what's the harm, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no downside really at all, unless they somehow scam a lot of people and then, run off. But
yeah, I think just to play devil's advocate, I do think there is a downside, similar to the sentiment around Waka with players. I think there's a lot of people that are holding Waka bags right now and playing with those, so if it's something that's not executed well and the community invests in it, whether it's real money or it's time or attention or whatever that happens to be, and it's not done to a good quality level, or it's not a good development team or anything like that, we just don't know the details at this point to say if it's good or bad. Obviously, from a conceptual perspective, more game modes and more Splinterlands is a good thing, but quality control and I would say strategic positioning are also key to the brand. And if that's not done well, the results aren't going to be good. So, I'll just wait to see what comes out of it. I'm very hopeful, like as Jim mentions, that it is a value add and it's seen as something that is a fun game, and it adds to the value of SPS and DEC and our assets that we already hold. And it's something that I want to also get involved in. Worst case scenario, it's Splinterlands solitaire, and it's, a drain on the economy and gives the brand another, kind of a bad mark. But let's see. I will say that I'm excited to see what these sports leagues partnerships are going to involve. That to me seems very interesting, depending on what leagues they are and what level of involvement that we're looking at here. That could be the gateway drug, so to speak, to more users and new users, depending on how that works out and what that partnership looks like. And I think, based on that interview with Aggie, I think that's just around the corner here in the next couple of months, a live version of that. So let's see. That could be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a really good point. Going back to Jim's thing of like, there's no downside. I mean, yeah, you're right. There is potentially a downside if the game flops, it sucks. It depends what kind of level it is. It's like, hey, this is a partner. This is like, hey, like we're actually, this is Splinter Solitaire, Splinter Tear, whatever you want to call it. Like what kind of brand does Splinterlands have within the game could maybe affect the reputation. I think that's a good thing to think through. And I'm sure, at least hopefully, they're thinking through those things carefully. I think the one thing that could be really good is often you'll see, big game companies able to build out another game, and that's just, instant, a win-win for growing both audience. Like, I played League of Legends, and now reason why everyone plays Valorant is because League of Legends was so big. The reason why everyone plays Teamfight Tactics. I mean, there's other games that are pretty similar to those games, but everyone knows those because they want to play the Riot version. So if they can get more quality to these new games, it could be the fact of like, hey, I want to play Splinterlands RPG, and that's what actually gets me into Splinterlands and gets me into the card game version. So there could be a growth of audience if it is a top quality, and that's the big question that we just obviously don't know at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing that Blizzard has as well. It was like, oh, I played StarCraft, I played Diablo 2, I go play WoW, I go play Diablo 3, I'm going to play Diablo Immortal. Maybe I want to then go off and play a shooter, go play Overwatch. What if you played StarCraft? Go play the second one. You want to branch off into the other things. The exact same thing with, like you're saying, with the Riot games.
Yeah. And I think one of the disadvantages for Splinterlands has always been it's on the Hive blockchain, which I love the blockchain. It's good stuff. It just doesn't have a huge community, like compared to some of the things out there. And so when you talk about like what else game is on Splinter or on Hive, yes, there's ones being developed. There's other ones we could point to, but nothing that people would really know. It's not like, oh, I came into the Wax blockchain for this game, and now I can explore this thing. And I think having that ability for just more games being on Hive, more assets for Splinterlands to spend. So maybe we've talked about, hey, SPS and DEC is way overinflated. Well, guess what? If you want to go blow your money on another game, now you can pay with that. And maybe those are another sinks or ways to burn some of those tokens. It could be, I think, a big benefit if done well. So that'll be interesting to see if it brings more people into the Hive blockchain, the community, the ecosystem, and potentially into our tokens that we're all trying to build up right now.
Yeah. One thing I was also thinking about is, say you're into that other game and you're buying assets specifically for that game that aren't necessarily nearly as good as they could be in Splinterlands, then that could also then just increase the value of that one specific asset. And people are like, why? It's not even good in Splinterlands. Why is it $10? Well, it's because this other game, that's why it's $10,
Yeah, I want to go play my MMO as Grum.
Don't do that to me, man. Don't give me hope.
If you could play as any character from Splinterlands in an MMO, who would you choose?
Dude, I'm playing a healer, okay? I have to.
Okay. Just divine healer? That's lame.
No. I don't think it'd probably be a water one that has tank heal and triage.
You're a river nymph?
Yeah. Probably.
What about you, Cryptmancer?
Selfishly, I would be a rusty android because I still need to get rid of that one that I accidentally bought thinking it was a chain golem.
What? There's a story here. How much did you pay for that?
More than I should have.
You didn't pay for chain golem prices,
No.
did you?
No.
Okay. Oh my gosh. That would have been a sad day. Oh, awesome. Well, anything else you guys have been thinking about as far as Splinterlands? Anything else you have been seeing in the chat that we want to close out with, or are we good?
No, I mean, just a shout out to Weirdbeard in the chat, hanging out in the chat stream and, being a part of the community and, definitely with the passion that he brings. I appreciate that. So thanks, Rick.
Yeah. MVP. Weirdbeard out here every single day. Wonder how much he works. Probably way too much, huh? I see him everywhere, I feel like. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely going to be one of the big pieces of marketing if we can actually get more tournaments and esports going as well. And I know he has plans, got good plans coming up, so I'm excited for that. We'll see how that goes, but he's been talking about so many juicy things. Like, I just want him to be here already. Like, why do we have to wait? Story of crypto, story of Splinterlands, story of my life. Yeah. Patience, everyone. Eventually we'll get there. Well, it looks like we can wrap up. I got other things to do. I'm going camping tomorrow, so I need to pack up anyway. So probably not bad that we're ending slightly early tonight. So, awesome. Jim, anything you want to shout out? Anything you're working on? Any place of content you want to point to people?
My main squeeze, hobbies and happiness. We do online content for tabletop gaming, whether it's card games or board games. We are starting to do a bit more digital content as well. And just if you guys are interested in board games, card games, come check us out.
Sweet. And Cryptmancer, anything you want to shout out today?
Not specifically. Thanks for having me on the show. It's always good to chat with the panels here and have good discussions along with the community here. So, check me out on YouTube if you like, and we're on Twitch as well, Saturday evenings and Sunday evenings on Splinterlands TV.
Yeah, well, if you don't want to shout out, I'll shout out. Go watch all of his recent videos because they're the spiciest Splinterlands videos around, I feel like. So there you go. Thank you guys for being here. I'm, of course, Luke, and thank you guys. It's been a while, so it's been good to catch up with you two and as well as the chat. Hopefully we can get back into a regular rhythm until I leave for Europe in the end of July. So we'll probably take another long break then. Summer is wild. Summer is crazy. So we'll do as many episodes as we can. But for now, peace out. See you guys on streams later or at Balthazar Videos. Take care, everyone.